Mike, will anybody be added today to the reserve COVID list on the roster?
We'll see where that is this afternoon when the personnel report comes out.
Jim?
Like how soon would you like to make a decision at right tackle, and what have you seen, from the competition at that position up to this point?
There's been some moving parts there, Jim. I think that, we have some time, and I think that it's still a competition. We want to try to find the best guy to play over there. Ty's been working his way back. Quiz has been, in there consistently, and then Kendall, just has been, obviously working his way back in just recently. So, I think that that's probably going to go a little bit longer, and we'll make sure that they're all given the opportunity, and also, figuring out what's going to be best, for the rotation for the season, and then where the other pieces fall.
Tron?
Yeah, Coach, for the third down defense, right? Talking to some of the players, they mentioned urgency, they mentioned confidence, and also they mentioned just competing. What do those words mean for you, and how do they relate to your improvements on third down defense?
Oh man, I think those are all great, qualities and characteristics to have when you're trying to get off the field or, doing a lot of things. Those would be all great things to have and to try to do. It's but it's about trying to play better when you have them in second and long and keeping them there. You can see the impact that it had on us the other night on 3rd and 11. Trying to move the ball down the field. Pass rusher gets a piece of Logan's arm, and the ball flutters up in the air, and it's returned for a touchdown. So, and then obviously you guys can see, and we all can see the types of plays that are, when you're in the 3rd and short, teams can run the ball. They're quick passing, and they bunch you up and, try to pick you and rub you. And so there's all those things that come into play. So obviously there's a mentality to it, but hopefully, putting them in some of those longer yardage situations and then executing would be ideal.
John Glennon.
Hey, Mike. Any coaches or players that'll be returning from COVID protocol for today's practice?
Not that I'm aware of.
Thank you.
Terry?
Mike, with the release of John Simon yesterday, is that kind of a sign that some of the younger guys like Rashad Weaver and Ola and Roberson are ready for those depth roles and to step into some playing time?
I think that's just a sign that, we're making roster cuts, and, hopefully we can, continue to have a relationship with John. I've got a lot of history with John, and as a person and as a player, think very highly of him. So, hopefully, we could, potentially find a way to bring him back, as we work our way through this process. That's something that could happen. As far as those other guys, they have, been working in special teams, have improved, and but again, it's just very early on in this process of the roster construction.
Jared Stone.
Yeah, Mike, the NFL Top 100 had Derek as the 4th player voted on by the players. And I just kind of wonder what you make of Derek's ascension in the league amongst other players. When you took over as coach, he hadn't been a starting running back before, and really took some time before he became a great player. So what do you make of kind of the patience that Derek has had and what he's been through to be viewed by his peers as one of the top 4 players in the game?
Most everybody that comes into the National Football League is very successful. at the college level. There's always outliers. I'm not going to try to debate that. But obviously, Derek was a very, very successful player in high school and college at a big-time program. And then, you come in, you play behind a player, you kind of figuring things out, new offense, new scheme. And to his credit, only continue to work harder and improve and help lead our football team. So got a lot of respect for Derek and kind of, it probably wasn't, the best or the start that he had envisioned to his career. But I think it's a great example of just not being patient. I don't want to use patience, the right word, but just sticking with it and continuing to compete, to improve, and be very, durable and very productive, thus far in his career.
Paul?
What has Sal told you about when you're going to be back out there?
Just continuing to work my way through the protocols.
But there's a day, Mike. What's the 10th day or the 11th day?
Again, it's not today, so I'm going to focus on today. I had a great team meeting this morning. Guys will be, meeting, lifting, trying to make the corrections from the games that we feel are pretty critical, considering we didn't play the game, the way that we would need to win or be competitive. And then have a great practice, and then we'll see where things are at, after today.
Buck?
Yeah, Mike, when you were talking about the tackle situation, you didn't bring up Dylan. How has he handled playing both guard and tackle, and does he look more comfortable at one over the other, understanding he's probably going to have to play both?
Yeah, no, I think where that competition is, it's going to probably fall on one of those three guys, and Dylan's going to continue to work and have to get better, and he has. There's been, improvement since training camp and each game, and there's a lot of things that go into that, and playing a guard and playing a tackle, having that ability to do both of those can be a real positive one, and where guys are each week where we need him to be. It would be nice that he can play multiple positions.
Steve Lamb?
Mike, as you go through this week and you have to do roster cutdowns, the fact, I know it's probably not ever a real comfortable position as a head coach to tell people those sort of things, but is it at all made harder by the fact that you're at home in your living room right now? Does that make those conversations more difficult?
I haven't had any of those conversations from Zoom. I don't know that that's necessarily the way that we would want to do business. I follow up with the guys. John's handled the few that we've had already. I'm not, there is a certain, I think sincerity and empathy that you have, for these guys that come in, that compete for us, that work for us, work with us. And then, you got to make some decisions. It's not everybody makes it, and but I feel like we've always tried to respect each and every player, try to communicate with them as to what we saw and the things that we think when we're trying to build the roster. And then as far as some of those guys, may be back with us in the practice squad.
John Glenn?
Mike, any idea what to expect from Julio in practice this week, whether it'll be similar to last week or he'll be able to ramp things up a little bit?
Yeah, we're hoping that things continue to trend towards, where they would be for the regular season, but we'll see that we'll continue to try to have a plan to get him ready as well as everybody else as we move forward. These 4 days will be important for us. There'll be a lot of different things that get covered over the course of the next 4 days between, our improvement, our focus on Arizona, our our ability to handle situations will be something that we'll look at this week as well. So there'll be a lot that we have to do, and I'm very hopeful that we'll handle that well.
Jim?
I guess, Mike, the timing of cuts this year is different than years past. What kind of challenges it present you to, get practice schedules worked out? Maybe not knowing who's going to be out there certain days, and then not knowing what your practice squad is going to look like until the middle of one of those practice days.
Well, everybody's got to be released by tomorrow. Those players that we're moving on from, and then Wednesday at 11 or 12 o'clock we'll be able to start to add some practice squad players. So today we'll focus on the guys that we have available, to try to get some work in, and then we'll do the same thing, and again continue to communicate with the coaches, whether that's because of subtractions from our roster or injuries that guys aren't practicing each and every day. I feel like there's a very good communication system set up between Todd and John, myself, Stretch, the coordinators. So we try to stay on top of that each and every day and in the morning, and sometimes those things change, and they're pretty. We have to stay pretty, fluid and be willing to adjust, Jim.
Terry?
Mike, I know you didn't play a lot of starters in the preseason finale the other night, but Taylor was one that got in there, first action he'd had really since the ACL injury. How important was that for him from that, I guess, the state of mind to be able to go back out there and practice, or not play in a game before the regular season starts and test that injury?
I think that'd be something that you should ask Taylor, because, whether I think it's important or whether the coaches or the trainers, that's on the individual player. I thought it was important enough that he play in the game to be out there before the regular season. So those are all things that we think are important.
Jim?
Like, I know roster cuts difficult every year. Do you feel like this is one of your tougher decisions because of the competition on the roster, and what positions maybe are your toughest choices going to come at?
Jim, those things are always tough, and there's been a lot of great competition. I'm not going to review, the roster right now. We're continuing to work our way through that. Whether they're all hard, they're all tough cuts. When you have to tell guys that they're not going to be on the 53-man roster, they're all hard. So that's kind of where we're at there.
All right, I think that may be it, other than the chatter and the chat at the moment. Thank you, Coach.
The opportunity. This is a light day. You guys don't have much.
You won't say anything.
That was for everybody else, not Paul. Have a great day, guys.
Thanks.
Ask better
Thanks,
questions.
Mike.
Bye, Mike.
Hi, Teresa.